One of these 3DS XLs is not like the other. Can you tell the difference? Yes, that's right, the answer is one is red and the other is blue. Not really, there is more to this. The 3DS is going through a resurgence right now and you've decided you want to get one. You've gone to your local CEX and found they've all been gutted by scalpers. eBay is returning some questionable prices and sometimes questionable conditions. But did you know it's quite easy to get one on AliExpress? I know what you're thinking, but please, hear me out. Because in this video, I'm going to explain how it can make a lot of sense. I'm going to show you one of these new 3DS XLs from AliExpress today. I'm going to see if it actually turns on, talk about the general quality, and then I'll compare it to one I bought on eBay. Yes, I bought 2 3DS consoles in 2026 to bring you this video. So if you appreciate that, please hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get on with the unboxing. I'm going to go through the buying experience with AliExpress later, so please watch that section before you start blasting the buy button, because there are some very important things you need to know. The package comes without a box, but it is bubble wrapped to survive the trip from China. I recommend opening it up with scissors to avoid accidentally knifing the 3DS like I did. It comes with a charging cable, a stylus, and fingerprints aside, the condition is pretty good. The product page does claim that the internal components are original, and the body has a new shell and new touchscreen if necessary. So it's not 100% clear which parts they replaced on the outside or what they deem necessary. I'd say it's a bit of a mixed bag because some of it looks pristine. The top and bottom surface, the buttons, touchscreen, the pad, and sticks all look brand new. But then there's the finishing on the corners and edges, and a couple of tiny nicks on the inner casing, although I do believe I made one of these myself during the unboxing. There's a couple of specks of extra plastic under the opening of the touchscreen here. You can see it's causing a small bump on the panel, and hopefully I can gently tweezer these out later. The cartridge slot isn't cut and finished with laser precision, but this is only cosmetic. I have a brand new copy of Fire Emblem here. Fun fact, you can still buy sealed 3DS games on Amazon, and I'll link you to this one in the description box below. The cartridge slides in smoothly and there's a bit of a scraping sound at the bottom, but this is only the cartridge connectors making contact with the pins inside, which is normal behavior. There aren't any notable scratches or scuffs anywhere, so overall it's as brand new as possible for a second-hand console with a replacement body. The stylus looks a bit grubby, but I can't tell if this crust is old hand sweat or dried up cleaning liquid, because they do mention that the internal components are cleaned. So maybe the process carries through to other parts like this as well. It has the Nintendo logo on it, but dupes are pretty good these days, so who knows if this is OEM. Not that it matters too much to me, I would probably look at getting an extendable one to replace it anyway. The stylus pops out when I hold the machine vertically, but it doesn't completely come away. Whilst this was disappointing initially, it has become part of my method for getting it out easily, and I have heard that others have experienced this even on OEM components. I went with the dual IPS option, and they claim that these are brand new screens installed by themselves. 3DS consoles can come with TN or IPS screens. They will either be both TN, one IPS, or both IPS. The gist is that IPS has better extreme viewing angles and a cooler tone, whilst TN washes out at extreme angles and has a warmer tone. The easiest way to tell if you have an IPS screen is to go over to the notifications icon and then turn the 3DS at an angle. If the icon goes from green to blue, the top panel is TN. The bottom screen should start going white if it's a TN panel. Finding a dual IPS model is difficult and will cost a bit more. But are they objectively better? This is still up for debate, and you must remember that you'll never be viewing the 3DS in extreme angles during play. Another factor you might come across is screen yellowing. Many buyers try to avoid screens that have gone yellow, but some users on Reddit have suggested that yellowing is a result of leaving the console off for a long period of time, and a few sessions of gaming at full brightness can dramatically reverse this yellowing. I can see some speckles of dust behind the screen protector, but I'm fine with that because I'm terrible at applying these, and I just know if I took it off to clean it and apply my own, it would 100% look worse, so I'm going to leave it be. The bottom screen basically looks pristine, and anything you see in my B-rolls is a result of me playing with it. And I'm very happy to say it turns on just fine. Mine arrived with a fully charged battery, and I can even start a gaming session right away because it's already been modded with some essentials downloaded. It's notoriously easy to mod a 3DS, but that's still one step I don't have to go through. Modding a 3DS allows you to unlock regions, download homebrew stuff and other important apps, and all the essentials are already here. This one comes with Japanese system settings, and to change this, I will have to put the SD card into my computer and apply a transfer file. The process is supposed to be very simple. So I must admit, the buying experience was a bit sketchy. There were so many red flags that I am genuinely surprised that it turned up. There are a few different sellers on AliExpress, and I'll link to the exact store I got mine from. And I'm not saying that you should absolutely choose this seller over the other ones on AliExpress, but I am saying I got the 3DS I ordered right here. So first of all, the price will vary depending on what kind of 3DS you want. I recommend you go for a new 3DS or 2DS, and that doesn't mean it's a fresh, brand new product. It just means you're getting the updated hardware that is compatible with all 3DS games along with some other improvements. You can tell which one is the more powerful console because the new hardware has a C stick above the buttons. There's a choice for SD card sizes, but in my opinion 32GB is plenty. There's no need to hoard games. I'm just going to curate a nice little collection that I intend to play. Now here's where it gets super dodgy. I didn't find any mention of IPS screens on the product page, so I messaged them first. They asked me to pay for the order on AliExpress. That was £271.99. Then minus the £42.15 VAT because customs is supposed to charge that when it enters the country. I slap on a £19 coupon. You can try some of the ones in my description box. So far that's £210.75. And then I'm asked to go to a completely other website to pay an additional £70 for the dual IPS screen upgrade. By the way, according to one of the verified reviews, if you don't DM them first, they will upsell you on the IPS screens after you purchase anyway. I just think the whole process would be a lot less concerning if they just list the dual IPS variant on the product page and let me complete all payments within AliExpress. Anyway, moving on, I was given 2 tracking numbers on my order page. One is the 3DS, and that arrived without any hiccups. However, it turns out that the other tracking number was a mistake on their part, and I should have never even seen this. I thought the package was mine, so I tracked it over on Parcel Force, and I saw that it had been held in customs, so I paid it. Turns out I just paid someone else's customs tax, so that was a lucky day for them. In hindsight, I should have contacted the seller first before paying anything, especially since I already had my 3DS with me by then. But you know, I thought they were sending me something extra to sweeten the deal or something. It was partly my fault. So my point is, through AliExpress, there should only be one tracking number for the 3DS. I also got a final tracking number from the dual IPS fee, but that's just a dummy number and nothing physical will be delivered from that. So in total, £280.75 for a refurbished, fully working, pre-modded dual IPS new Nintendo 3DS XL. That's about on par with getting one in good condition on eBay. More on that later. So here is my 3DS XL that I ordered from a Japanese seller on eBay. I asked him if anything has been replaced and he told me all parts are original and no physical changes have been applied. So to my knowledge, this is all OEM. Let's take a look at the initial condition first before I give it a quick wipe down. This one cost me £148.17 delivered. It was listed as used, very good. But I am quite disappointed in the condition. We can see there are cosmetic dings and scratches in various places, and it shows heavy usage. It does turn on though, and the condition of the screens is fantastic. I believe there are screen protectors both top and bottom. This was definitely a gamble purchase, but my main purpose for getting this was just to show you how an unrefurbished one looks compared to my refurbished AliExpress one. Let's start with the top casing. We have to inspect it closely to spot the differences. They both have this nice stripy sublayer, but the red one is slightly rounder on top. An easy way to tell is to look at the distortion in the reflections. In the blue one, the reflection is accurate and clean. On the red one, it's curved with very obvious light diffraction. It's also easy to tell that the OEM blue one has a premium metallic finish to it, and the red AliExpress shines more like a plastic. Around the back, it's the same story on the finish, metallic and shiny on the blue, plastically on the red. The print is bolder and easier to see on the OEM, and we have a serial sticker on the blue and none with the refurbished one. The holes and openings are slightly more precise on the OEM one. And the stylus doesn't pop out when it's held vertically. The problem with the red one is the stylus itself, because when I put the OEM one into the red model, it doesn't pop out on there either. The finish on the cartridge slot looks better than the red one, and this slot also has the scratching sound when the pins make contact with the cartridge. So, as suspected, the sound is normal. On the red one, I initially thought these darker parts happened due to natural wear and tear, but it's probably a case of poor finishing. The blue one shows a lot of use everywhere, and the finish still looks quite good on the edges, so this supports my suspicions on a poor paint job with the third-party bits. Finally, there is the sound of creaking plastic on some parts of the red refurb, and that's an indication that the casings don't fit completely snug. They're not loose by any means, just not as precise as the expertly manufactured OEM parts. Now on the inside, the refurb one is hands down better in my opinion. The D-pad, face, C and function buttons are very accurate. They might even be the original parts, but with less wear and tear. It all feels fantastic, better than the blue one in fact. The analog is definitely not OEM and isn't rubbery at all, but I prefer this. It feels comfortable and won't pick up damage, dirt, hand grub or that old melty feeling down the line in the same way the OEM one does. Even though this eBay one was cheaper, I feel less excited about playing with it. I can live with the cosmetic damage, but I feel the need to replace a few parts, like the analog stick, which is disgusting, and the membrane under some of these buttons, especially the shoulder buttons, because they don't feel tactile anymore. Other than the analog stick, all the differences I've mentioned are minor and only noticeable when I go out of my way to look for it. If you've never had a 3DS before, you wouldn't even miss the OEM parts. The guts and essence of the 3DS is all here. So when does it make sense to buy your 3DS from AliExpress? To get a sense of where it stands, let's take a look at some eBay listings. Roll the tape. This is the 3DS I purchased on eBay for a buy it now price of £148.17. If customs got a hold of it, that could end up at roughly £180. This one admittedly looks quite pristine from the pictures and comes with a case. The seller told me the panels are both TN. After a bidding war, this one sold at £282.60. This one is a complete mystery. It's listed as very good, but there aren't any pictures, no specific details on the condition, but it does come with a 3-year warranty. £523. This one is pretty good. The description says there are minor scuffs on the casing and screens, and it has the dual IPS configuration at £261.11. It even comes with the original box, charger and documents. So you can see the price ranges from around £180 all the way up to £500. And for an unboxed, guaranteed dual IPS model in very good shape, it would be around £300 if you wait for a good listing. You'll definitely have an easier time if you don't care about what kind of screen you're getting, and the price will also be lower if you don't go for an XL model. But let's go with the assumption that you want one in nice physical shape. Yes, these are third-party casings, but that's better than getting OEM casings that look like they've had a few stints at the meth den. If your intention is to get something on the cheaper end and attempt an upgrade or repair yourself, 3DS consoles are notoriously easy to mod, but they're also notoriously difficult to take apart and repair even if you've leveled up your tinkering skills to 300. Just go and watch some YouTube videos to see for yourself. I even saw a listing on eBay where someone attempted to reshell their 3DS only to end up bricking it completely. So that brings us to the option of getting it done by a professional service, right? This can be quite pricey and will involve shipping it there, waiting for the service to be done and having it shipped back again. When you add up the time and cost of refurbishing a cheap 3DS, it starts to edge closer to the £300 mark anyway. And if you want the dual IPS screens like I did, it will be a very similar story. To summarize my thoughts on this, you can get a decent deal on eBay if you put the effort in to shop around and bid. But if you're looking to save time and you want the most expensive configuration with all the work done for you and you don't mind third-party casings, the AliExpress route isn't a bad option at all. The good news is that whichever path you take, after you pay the cost of entry and have the console in hand, everything software side is free. I've been having a great time with my 3DS since it arrived. This console came out when I had less expendable income, so unfortunately, I missed out on it during the original release. And there are many reasons why it's having a resurgence now. But the reason I got interested in acquiring one is because I've been getting into the handheld emulation scene lately. And in 2025, we started to see a bunch of dual screen handhelds like the iNeo Pocket DS, the AYN4 and the Anbernic RGDS. And whilst these consoles look great, they're powerful and emulation is constantly getting better, There's one thing they can't emulate yet, and that's the true stereoscopic feature that the 3DS offers. I started looking into the 3DS and found that there were plenty of interesting titles that I didn't get to play. So instead of spending a few £100 on one of these dual screen retro handhelds, I decided to go straight to the source. Some people will tell you they turn off their 3D features because of battery life and headaches, and that's all true and valid, but I've not gotten bored of it yet. Even having it on the lowest setting looks fantastic, and adds a sense of depth that increases my immersion and enjoyment of the games I've been playing. It's one of the most unique experiences I've had in my 35 years of this hobby, and it completely lives up to my expectations. The 3DS is still the only way to play 3DS games the way they were intended. I didn't expect it to be quite this expensive overall, but you know what? It's good to experience some joy whenever you can find it these days, and I'm glad I got to experience the joys of the 3DS, even if I'm late to the party. Thanks for joining me for today's video. If you found it useful or entertaining, please give the video a like and subscribe. Each and every click makes a huge difference, and I truly appreciate the support. Check out one of these videos if you want to see more, and I'll catch you there.